And that is why this book, Chaos, blew my mind. To think that the Charles Manson murders, which fundamentally changed, people were so traumatized by how graphic these murders were.
Yeah.
And to know the CIA was there that night. I mean, what that Tom O'Neill uncovered, and almost he dedicated his whole life to it. He was flat broke and just filing FYA requests for years, realizing that the public thought that Charles Manson just hypnotized some people to do these crazy things. But in reality, everything we know about the Manson murders, this guy was MK Ultra. He was trained by the government. And this was an order for people to, I guess, to just end the hippie dream. They wanted to go to war. The hippies were to love rock and roll. And this leading up to the Vietnam War, LBJ, bloodthirst, Vietnam, Cambodia. It's incredible the lengths they will go through to get the public on the side of war. And
extremely upsetting.
And then even in that, back in the 60s, that was a pretty much Project Mockingbird, because he explained how all the press then was writing every minute, every detail, because they wanted to traumatize the press. And these moments are traumatizing. Pearl Harbor, traumatizing. I always go back to my propaganda as a child in school, 9/11. And now I think back at it, I'm going, oh my gosh, just the words they use, and they don't really think about anything but the emotion of it, right? Like, and so we get in line and we go, okay, yeah, no, we're totally okay with establishing TSA and giving up all of our freedoms in order for us to stay safe.
Gutting the Constitution.
Gutting the Constitution.
What's up, brothers?
All they're doing
It's
is showing us these
interesting.
images and talking about terrorism. And I was in the classroom and they're telling us, in order to be safe, to keep you safe, and then we have to go to war, and we can't just quickly say war in Iraq is okay. Don't even ask questions, even though there were Saudis in the plane. All it takes is something very traumatizing to happen, Operation Mockingbird in full effect, and you can, in most instances, get the public to be persuaded to go into a war, a conflict that they know nothing about.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Yes, and in terms of 9/11, I taught criminal investigations at a college, and I did investigations, obviously, espionage investigations. In the agency, a criminal investigation was never done on 9/11. They automatically blamed it on terrorism. They didn't examine any of the evidence. As a matter of fact, they bust out all of the iron and steel on barges to China the next day. And they made these ridiculous, and when they do their propaganda, it seems so stupid on its face, but they repeat it so many times. For example, well, we can prove that it was such and such hijacker that flew the plane in the building because we found his passport laying on E Street.
So stupid.
What? Let's see. The plane was incinerated. The floor above and below the plane were incinerated. There was absolutely nothing left of the
bodies.
The building was powder. But amazingly, they found this passport that proved their narrative. Oh,
so this year, we did a 2-episode series on 9/11 to go backwards, because I was a child, and to show people, we found these old clips and showed them. Do you realize how much we relied to about 9/11? Like, it's just unbelievable. When you look back at everything they told, astounding. And then the things that they ignored that happened that day, and the presence of the Mossad that was there, and they just never really answered the question.
Tower 7?
Tower 7 was very clearly just dropped to the, come on.
You cannot explain that away.
I mean, and then when you learn even more, to even show on the show about the art students that were there, that were also intelligence
Israeli
agents.
art students, and then
the weeks leading up, just like,
it's like coincidence.
What a coincidence.
And I did some research on plane crashes, as I'm sure many of your viewers have. And every single plane crash, especially a large aircraft, there's always wreckage left of the parts that can't be blown apart, the landing gear and the engines specifically. A lot of times the nose cone. Well, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, no wreckage whatsoever. The Pentagon, there were no engines. There were none of the landing gear, nothing.
And yet there were servicemen around that said, I've served in active military. It was a missile. I can tell you the sound of a missile. And they ignored all of this. And then we even pulled an old clip of a CNN journalist who was on the ground that day and said, I got up close, there's no plane. And they just kind of tried to wipe this from the internet. And so we had to dig up this. I'm like, you had a CNN journalist who was just probably telling the truth. And it's like, I'm here. This is amazing. Like, I got up close. There's no plane. And you just see this perfect hole. And then you have all these people who have been active military zones who said, I heard a missile that day. They don't release, they classify images of the plane.
Videotape from the gas station.
2000, and who knows when Tom Fitton and Judicial Watch was finally able, and you can't see anything. It's like, what hit the Pentagon that day?
Yeah, just directly.
And then they call us conspiracy theorists. Which is a part of Operation Mockingbird that the CIA created.
The CIA created that, and I've got a copy of that memo, calling people conspiracy theorists. Well, let's just change that and call it conspiracy investigators. How about that? Which is what we need these days, So
what do you mean you got a memo of conspiracy theorists?
There's a memo where finally a Freedom of Information Act request was answered, and they gave a memo where the CIA said, responding to the JFK assassination, we need to respond to the conspiracy theories that are out there about this shooting, and that's where the conspiracy theory label came from, was from that memo. And that's used to be an easy out to brand somebody a conspiracy theorist to avoid the facts like 9/11. There needs to be a criminal investigation despite the destruction of evidence of 9/11. There never was. And in the book, Alvin Buzzy Krongard, who ordered the CIA IG to silence and destroy me because of what was on that base, or dirty tricks on that base. Alvin Buzzy Krongard, George Tenet's XO, came directly from Wall Street. Alex Brown's and Sons was his corporation. Krongard didn't want anybody to know this, but he'd been affiliated with Wall Street with the CIA for years. And Tenet, he made it look like that was his first stint, and they just brought him in from Wall Street. Well, that wasn't true. He was associated with the CIA for years. And a few days before the planes hit the towers, Buzzy Krongard's company short sold all their stock in United Airlines and American Airlines. And in the 9/11 report, which is almost like the Warren Commission report, they didn't really want to find anything, or they mentioned there was some short selling going. Short selling meaning something's going to happen, so you sell your stock for cheap. There were some companies that short sold stock in the airlines, but we found nothing there.
Same with like Larry Silverstein, who purchased the insurance on it just 6 weeks before.
It's incredible. Yeah, and we found no trace that Al Qaeda had funded it. Buzzy Krongard is not mentioned because he was the one that his company short sold those stocks, but it stuck way down in a footnote in the 9/11 Commission report that there was this company and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's in our book.
Now, which company was this?
This was Alex Brown and Trust, which was later bought by the Deutsche Bank. Buzzy Krongard came over acting like he was only making $1 for service of his country, when in reality he made $71 million off the sale from Alex Trust and Sons to Deutsche Bank. Before he came with the CIA, he was a multimillionaire, but he claimed that, you know, he was doing it for a country. And it was Buzzy Krongard that went after me when I uncovered that vulnerability and ordered this CIA IG, and I named the name of the IG person at the time, to personally attack me. I was approached at an offsite as a program manager for Department of State after that. And the former senior IG official that was there when they were ordered to destroy me had retired, and he'd come with this company I was with. He comes over at this program manager conference, and he sits down, and I knew him. His name is Larry. I can't give his last name. Larry goes, "Kevin, I need to talk to you." I said, "Yeah." Larry goes, "Listen, I was on the IG when your case hit. We were ordered to silence and destroy you. This is a CIA IG." He said, "I just wanted to apologize for what they did to you." And I said, "That's great, Larry. I wish somebody would have done something before, you know, because my family was really sick." So just a witness that they did.
Reminding you guys that you should be drinking 7 Weeks coffee. Why are they called 7 Weeks coffee? Because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across the country. You know, I was even speaking to a guy about the moon landing and how many people got killed, you know, very bizarrely died in mysterious circumstances. And you just wonder when you see these agents, like, when does it come online? You're not a part of them. Like, there is a very small elite who realizes that if they make you think that you're in the cool club, that you'll do anything for them, that you'll put your lives on the line. But to them, to the people at the very top, they'll replace you tomorrow, they'll kill you tomorrow. You know, you're as good as you can serve them today.
Yes.
And it's just interesting to hear that they were sent to go destroy a CIA agent, as if they weren't CIA agents. I would go, I'm working for the wrong place.
Yeah.
If you're asking me to destroy someone that's a colleague.
Yeah. And
For what? Because he tried to save other colleagues.
Yeah, and he's exposing the space that we've been trying to hide for decades, and all kinds of bad stuff that they buried there. And I'll tell you, the 20%, the top 20% of the CIA, especially at the highest levels, they're malignant narcissists. They do not care about human life. Now, the 80% below, there's a lot of good, patriotic, America-loving people just doing their job. But the 20%, that's where the darkness and the evil is, because they do not believe in democracy at that level. And they could care less about the Constitution, obviously, because they break federal law all the time. They broke it.
Interesting.
So it's that top dark 20% that are doing the same things they've been doing since MK Ultra was initiated. And MK Ultra was in place for 20 years. That was not a short program.
I think it's still in place.
Well, you got to ask yourself, why would Thomas Crooks take a shot at Donald Trump? And you look at his background. Of course, there's under investigation, so they're not going to release. Yeah, but this guy had 3 encrypted overseas bank accounts, which I haven't heard anybody investigate that. He had no history of criminal violence, no threats. He was a brainiac in school. He'd received an award as an honor student. Of course, he was in a BlackRock commercial, but in my opinion, that was just a coincidence because they were bright students they were interviewing. But this kid had no history, no inclination to do that, and yet one day he climbs up and does that. Then there's Sirhan Sirhan. And both Bobby Kennedy and I are absolutely convinced that Sirhan Sirhan was an MK Ultra, programmed by MK Ultra. He had no memory of shooting Bobby Kennedy Sr. And when they went in to hypnotize him, they said he was so easy to hypnotize, they had him climbing up and down the walls like a monkey. They could make him do whatever they wanted, and he would do it. That's just the way his mind was. Like, it had been really badly messed with. So I think Bobby Kennedy and I are convinced that was an MK Ultra subject too.
Yeah, I'm very convinced that he was obviously murdered. And somebody also was telling me, someone on the PBD podcast was telling me there's actually a book that's super interesting, that it wasn't even him being stabbed that killed him. It basically, and one of the things that you also learn in this Chaos book, which is that there are corrupt medical examiners. And after people die, he was telling me that there was an injection that went into his neck and that killed him instantly. So there's always a lackey, and then there's supposed to be someone that makes sure that the job gets done. And so that's one. I haven't had time really to explore that death, but I really want to look into that, but it's very likely. You can always tell in the manner and the swiftness that they lock down investigation and want the media to move on. Because why would the media move on so quickly from someone trying to shoot President Donald Trump if it wasn't because we were going to find who was implicated was going through the CIA? And I also was stunned by how every network was covering that rally. Like, every network who hates Trump was there that day and was covering it. And I think about that now, and I think about these sort of mass psychoses that is supposed to come out of these events. If everyone's watching and he's speaking and then he gets shot on camera, and then afterwards, when they already had ready to go, they said, Iran did this. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I'm
like, what? Thomas Crooks and Iran? Like, come on.
We received intelligence from Iran.
From Iran, they were going to do it.
Baloney.
Yes, of course it's baloney. Are you? Oh, so this random kid was really hooked up with the Iran regime.
CIA propaganda.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking, does anybody believe this nonsense that Iran had anything to do with this? Like, this is the state trying to take out Donald Trump. And I'm going, please, Trump, do not accept that. They are obviously have trained this kid. And it's funny you remark on him being a brainiac, because a lot of these, and I'm blanking on his name, and maybe one of you guys can tell me, the Connecticut shooting, the school shooting that was horrific, Adam Lanza was another one of these brainiac kids, and the FBI paid him a visit after he was able to hack into their computers when he was really young, and they said, well, you may work for the FBI one day. And it's, and I don't know if it's alleged or if I actually read this in a mainstream media article, that he was visiting Yale often, and we know, like, what was he doing? So he gets to visit early on because he's a brainiac, next thing you know, and you can see in his eyes, he looks drugged out of his mind.
Oh, absolutely.
And so these are the questions that I would have thought years ago was a conspiracy until I really learned about what the MK Ultra program was. I mean, we're talking even attempts to turn someone into a psychopath by sexually assaulting them when they're young, sodomy, all of these things. Our government did this.
Yes, they did. They did. They used sexual violence. They used torture, putting them in frozen rooms, hanging them. They used extreme amounts of LSD, extreme amounts of electroshock. The original idea was they were trying to create assassins that would go kill somebody and then have no memory of the event. Sirhan Sirhan.
And also, John Lennon, the night that he was shot. The CIA was there that night.
Yeah, and these normal, average people, successful, many times intelligent people, just go out and do these horrific things with no prior warning or indicators behaviorally at all. And then with Adam Lanza, you look in his eyes, and some of these people's eyes, and his brain was on. He'd been on something for quite a while. I mean, that's pretty clear. He'd been driven mentally insane, and that's what Ultra was designed to do, to train criminal killers, but who would not remember what they did, and to train couriers as mules who would courier information over to intelligence agencies and then forget the information that they were just given. Also to do that, and then to do enhanced interrogations even way back then. And the torture program was not just waterboarding, by the way, but they do enhanced interrogations back then. And that's what MK Ultra was all about. From Jolly West Lewis, who was the chief of psychiatry at UCLA, and denied any involvement in MK Ultra, which was developed by Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, who was the madman of the program. And Jolly Lewis, Jay West, he went by sometimes. West claimed that he had nothing to do with MK Ultra, and he would sue anybody that said that he did, up until he died. Well, Tom O'Neill did a superb investigation where he went to UCLA and found West's notes and records that UCLA hadn't gotten rid of yet, and he went through them meticulously, and he found correspondence between Dr. Sidney Gottlieb and West about MK Ultra, and how they were going to try to hide it and try to move it out in the field, and made that connection right there.
Shocking part of the book.
Yes, and in Haight-Ashbury, Jolly West Lewis had his MK Ultra office right next to Haight-Ashbury Clinic, and they would refer people over, and some of the people that O'Neill interviewed that were involved in Haight-Ashbury said, oh yeah, Manson and the girls came to see Mr. West often, all the time. And then they go out and do this horrific murder that's beyond imagination. Come on, I think he really hit on a big truth there.
No, he did, and that's why I say you have to read this book, because you really have to confront how.
Let's play Fire Emblem. I missed the game. And I missed you guys. Yeah. The General's Hand. Ike. Axel Paladin. Toy. Boido. He's good. Like this. to jsou se pas, Begnion. Basically, it's just fighting, but I like the, oh. Pum pum. He's good. cool, man. All about Edo. You know what? Let's play a different game. Is Fire Emblem always?
Evil our government has been and therefore is, because they have not, it's not like there was some mea culpa. We did this and we're sorry. They just keep these things up and they keep gaslighting us and they keep pretending that these people are one-off Looney Tunes. And then you realize that there is some connection with an MK Ultra program, or the government had visited them, or they were brainiacs.
Exactly.
You really, really have to understand what the MK Ultra program is. And so it completely changes the way that I view all of these events, because I don't view them as random at all.
It should.
I know they want us to view it as random. And it's so interesting to see as more and more things get exposed. You know, we have the Diddy case and all of the same elements are in everything. Drugs, people not remembering things, feds are somehow involved. In the Diddy case, are saying, you know, he had a number that he could call. This was being alleged by the person who brought the lawsuit forth and really exploded things, that the LAPD, very similar to Charles Manson, there was a person that was working for the feds that could just make things disappear and they could rely on the media to lie about things that were happening. Shocking, I'm going, but not so shocking once you realize this has been going on at least since the 60s. And so that also brings us into the Jeffrey Epstein thing.
I was about to mention it.
Yeah, so the Diddy is kind of like the Hollywood of the Jeffrey Epstein, which is something the media worked very hard to bury for a very long time. And the most compelling part of the Jeffrey Epstein thing is how they just sort of released him and allowed him to live in his house at first. And when questioned about this, what's his name? Acosta said, I was told as a judge that he was intelligence, and that is the reason I could not prosecute him. So there was somebody above me who said I could not prosecute this asset.
That's right.
What are we to make of that? What do you think about Jeffrey
Epstein? Was a CIA Mossad asset that was recruited and was doing a blackmail operation. I think that's crystal clear. No question about it. So
tends to be the party guy, just like Diddy.
Drugs,
cameras, drugs.
The CIA, as part of MK Ultra, had Operation Climax, where they would lure Johns in with drugs and prostitutes, and then this drunk CIA schmuck would sit on the opposite of a two-way mirror and take notes on what, you know, just evil, wicked stuff. And that's what they're using Epstein for, was blackmail operations. And they got some pretty high-level people snared into that. And they haven't released the entire list of close Epstein confidants, but you know, Israel's former prime minister was one of them.
Which prime minister?
Bahoud. Trying to remember. You'll have to check it. I'm drawing blank on his name. Bahoud something. He got yes, they got a picture of him visiting Epstein in his New York apartment, and he was well connected to Epstein, but that was all in secret. That is the intelligence part of Mossad. And of course, they couldn't do that without coordinating with the CIA. So I
ask this question now. The more I learn, there just always seems to be this connection between the CIA and the Mossad. And I'm going, is it just they're the same organization? The more you look back into history, and it's always somehow the CIA and the Mossad is there on the day that JFK gets shot. We learn about like MLK. We learn about 9/11, and then we're going, okay, why does it seem like there's a union here, a marriage here?
Mossad is like the sister of the CIA. They're joined at the hip, kind of like Siamese twins, and they use each other for intel and operations and things like that. They're extremely close.
Wait, let's listen to this. He's the bad guy.
And Tom asked Shogun Rua was a guy that you really admired, and he gave you that opportunity to win the title. What's the difference between that and Tom Aspinall now coming up?
Well, I've always been a person to like move on my own terms, and I just don't want to be one of those athletes who sticks around forever. I'm 37 years old, which is old for combat sports. I fight for a living, and I don't think the fans realize my body and what I've put it through over the years. I've been fighting for a very long time at the absolute highest level, and I just don't feel like I'm in a position to have to fight much longer. I want to fight guys who have legacies that's worth challenging, and Tom simply doesn't have a legacy that's worth getting me out of bed. You know, he's not that important to me. Alex Pereira, on the other hand, he's the person that I believe will be, I want to use the word worthy of being in there with me. I get that Tom's exciting and that a lot of young fans would love to see me challenged, but I've been doing that literally my whole career. I've been the main event my whole career. Tom's late. I don't know if he went the amateur route, but I've been here since he was in high school, since most people were in high school, most of our fans.
In an extremely sensitive relationship. Oh, yeah.
And this is, it totally explains what Epstein was doing. And also Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, when he died, and didn't he die rather mysteriously? I'm not sure.
He fell off, he found dead off his yacht floating in the water. They claimed it was a heart attack.
Of course.
Just when he was coming under scrutiny for arms dealing and connections with the CIA and being a Mossad agent, actually a double agent with Mossad and KGB. All of a sudden he's found dead floating next to his yacht, you know, and...
happens all the time.
Oh, yeah, it's just, just one of those things. See, what
a ton of Mossad agents and I think a former prime minister of Israel attended his funeral. So it's like, guys, hey, maybe
it's like, you know,
Ghislaine.
It's very difficult that they find out the hard way to cover up the truth because it's going to leak out, you know, somewhere. And it's good investigative journalists and people like yourself that look for those leaks and then start digging, which is what we have to do because we're being lied to constantly. Our government has not changed since Pearl Harbor. It is the same. The CIA is the same at the upper levels. They're doing the same kinds of things. I was an agent on William Casey's detail, and one of my posts was in his house. And just underneath where he was sleeping, and we were protecting him, and Khomeini had a price on his head. So we were intimately next to William Casey there and in his office and when we were driving the motorcade. But none of us knew that Casey had done an operation to kill a suspected imam by planting a car bomb outside the mosque and setting it on a timer. Well, the imam that they claimed was a terrorist came out near the car bomb, but one of his patrons asked him a question. So the imam turned around to go back, but the timer was already set. Bomb went off, killed 64 women and girls at the girls' school, and it turned out it was the wrong imam. Well, Casey was doing that. We were living in his house. We didn't know because we weren't up in that 20%. That's what I'm talking about. That's where the darkness is. And when, thank God, Bobby Kennedy's in there now, and I hope the Trump administration now will start hacking away at that top 20%. And in Twilight of the Shadow Government, I call, me and Ken, for reform of the CIA and removal of that covert operational power that it has to conceal what it's doing through secrecy.
I'll tell you one thing, the last Kennedy that wanted to shatter the CIA did not live to tell about it.
So. They are in extreme danger, not just in the United States, but from global powers, both Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy, without question.
And I think it really is waking up the masses to this so people understand this and don't think that these events are random. That offers protection to them in many ways, knowing that that you're not going to run the same Operation Mockingbird and try to tell us that a random person tried to shoot Donald Trump. Like, we are going to speak about the truth. And you always know when you really have a right to the truth because of the way the media attacks you. And the way that I've seen the media, once I started getting interested in this and the media attacking me, I'm banned from Australia. I'm like, I've never committed a crime in my life. How do you get banned from a country you've never committed a crime in your life?
That is so
it's just like I'm on the ADL's list and I'm going, okay, it's because I'm telling the truth. And when you start speaking real truth to power, of course, the Mockingbirds don't like it. They are sent down to try to destroy
intentionally.
you.
Especially you, because you're coming out with the truth, unvarnished. And there's no question about that. And of course, they've done the same thing with me, conspiracy theorist, rogue, CIA employee, paranoid.
Totally crazy. We worked with him for years and we thought that he was so intelligent that he was a part of the 2%. Now he's a wacko.
Yeah, but now he's a rogue wacko. You expect that. And you know, we should consider that a badge of honor.
I do. And that's why I even put it on my conspiracy theorist. I sell it. I couldn't care less. I'm like, yep, you got me. I know that you created the term and we're going to go ahead and embrace that because we know exactly what you're up to. Okay, so now we have to do this thing. And I'm going to ask you, and by the way, we're not putting this to be fact, but like after I spoke to Judge Joe Brown about MLK and he was the judge in the case and he was then being attacked by the feds. They shot into his house 15 times. Crazy for him to be telling the background of that. And he was like, this is how they killed him. The FBI killed him. Here's the gun they used. They kept the guns. It was incredible to hear him say this on the show. But now we're going to go back in time and I'm going to ask you who you think did each of these huge events, okay? The killing of MLK Jr. You're told that it was this random guy who happened to have a couple of extra passports on him that day. Is he the murderer of MLK Jr.?
No, that was a CIA operation because they considered him a dangerous communist. And the FBI was bugging in churches where he was giving some of his speeches in churches. They were bugging the podiums and following him around. He was a top target for elimination. So, and what the CIA does, is CIA specifically, and sometimes the FBI, there's always a boogeyman. There's always one person. Well, this person did. Osama bin Laden did it. So let's move on. We got him. So it's over. You know, they always have one person. That's their MO. That's a scapegoat. We got him. The whole operation is over. We solved it. Now forget about it. And that was the case with Martin Luther King. Same MO. They used that same MO over and over and over. Timothy McVeigh. He was the only one that did it.
Timothy McVeigh. Yeah, he was MK Ultra.
And there were other bombs in the building that were reported initially and then deleted from media coverage. And on and on and on we go.
Okay. JFK. We are told that this guy just shot him, and then another guy heroically shot the guy who shot the guy, and then, as you learn in the Chaos book, was visited by Jolly West while he was in prison, and then he was suddenly insane the next day when the judge saw him. Who was involved? Do you believe the official storyline of how JFK was killed?
Absolutely not. For starters, have you read the book The Secret Team by Fletcher Prouty? Oh, I would recommend that book to everybody.
Be right back, guys.
Fletcher Prouty had high-level access in Department of Defense and CIA tickets, but they forgot to get him to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So when he saw all this and how they played all these things, he came out and he wrote The Secret Team. And in The Secret Team is his witness account of the JFK assassination. And there was a well-known CIA operator from Vietnam up until that point named Edward Lansdale. And there's a photograph of the three mysterious men being walked by the sheriff in front of the book depository. And walking by them, as one of them smiled, was Edward Lansdale, well-known CIA operative. And Prouty worked with him. He knew him. He knew what he looked from behind. He knew about the ring on his finger. And he identified Lansdale as a CIA operative. George Bush made this mysterious phone call that day, claiming that he was in Dallas. Now, George H.W. Bush, longtime CIA operative, although he tried to deny it. Going all the way back to Cuban Missile Crisis, he was a CIA operative. And when he was president, CIA in the White House, a.k.a. Iran-Contra, and then they promoted him. So Edward Lansdale was there. There's no question about that. Bush called in and said, I think something may happen today. And I don't know. I just wanted to warn you about it. I'm in Wisconsin or wherever he said he was. He was in Dallas, Texas, and phoning in a fake phone call that day. Oswald, without question, had been recruited by the CIA, sent over to Russia to try to be a double agent, and came back. Was he the only shooter? Absolutely not. The CIA was then working with the mafia, and JFK had fired Allen Dulles, the devil incarnate, as we've called him. And Allen Dulles, he fired Allen Dulles. So Allen Dulles was having secret meetings with other CIA officials that were now out of there, how to get rid of JFK, because he was his arch enemy. He fired him. This guy was a power-hungry director. So they were having meetings on how to get rid of JFK rather. And so when the murder happened and the Warren Commission was put together, guess who was in charge of the Warren Commission?
Allen Dulles.
Allen Dulles, who coached all the CIA witnesses what to say, what not to say, and forbade some of the others from even testifying at all. They put the Fox in charge of the hen house. I mean, come on. And then the questions they asked, as you know, were just absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I think that was a CIA hit, and they may have employed some mafia connections to carry it out, because that was their mafia assassination
Exactly,
program.
and LBJ was very involved in all that in Dallas. And so
he was an evil man.
He was an evil man. I believe he knew that he was going to get shot because they wanted him in the position, because they wanted to go to war every single time. When they decided they want war, and what did LBJ do? Henry Kissinger, they just went to town. Vietnam, went to town in Cambodia. I mean, they just didn't stop. The murder of Americans, not realizing that this is how things work. Okay, what about Pearl Harbor?
Pearl Harbor, Admiral Ace Lyons. I don't know if you've heard of Admiral Ace Lyons.
I'm gonna drink some tea. Let's drink some tea.
A radio program called The Intelligence Hour several years ago, and Ace had become a friend of mine because we were working on exposing Benghazi. And Ace Lyons was commander of the Pacific Fleet back during that time. And I asked Ace Lyons about Pearl Harbor, and he goes, I am still angry to this day. And I said, why? He goes, because they knew the attack was coming. They knew where it was going to happen in Pearl Harbor and when. And they told no one, and they let it happen on purpose. That's from the commander of the Pacific Fleet. I would say that's a pretty credible witness. So yeah, that was a false flag.
They admitted that. They admitted they heard it was going to happen, and how else were you going to get Americans to be on the side of this war? That had nothing to do with us.
Exactly, and it's that MO is repeated on and on up through Iraq, where the Pentagon even had the Pentagon Analyst Program, and they were going on Fox News, and all these generals that were recruited in this propaganda effort, going on pushing the Iraq war. You remember on Fox News and others, there were these generals on promoting. Well, that was a propaganda operation by the Department of Defense called the Pentagon Analyst Program. So
this is why you have to learn about Sigmund Freud, and then behind him Edward Bernays, and learn about the World War II propaganda. Make people every day just see Germans as the enemy. Then we have this big event happen, and the boys sign up, and they go to war, and they get killed, and it is the exact same thing every time. Remarkable intelligence failure. Now we're being drafted in because we have a right to defend ourselves, and we must get involved now with this war that has nothing to do with us. And now we're in the Middle East, which is nowhere near us, but which
I always find
9/11. Your opinion?
My opinion, as a criminal
war stories and historic movies always beautiful.
The act of a bunch of trained terrorists that executed an unbelievably meticulous piloting of those aircraft. Even pilots. There's pilots for 9/11 Truth now, and they say we could not have done that. Experienced pilots could not have made those maneuvers. Not possible. And then we go to the passport issue, and we go to the Tower 7, which was a controlled demolition.
Obviously.
You talk to any structural engineer, and I have. Well, that was a controlled demolition. I mean, it was perfect. And then you look at the facts that just don't add up, and the facts that were left out of the 9/11 Commission report, and then the ridiculous claims they made, the lack of airplane parts, no landing gear, no engines, which we talked about. So all of that put together, and the fact I think George W. Bush blacked out, I think it was 40 pages of the 9/11 report dealing with Saudi Arabia. And the report came out, the 9/11 Commission report came out, but those pages were blacked out, and he refused to unredact them. So what? Wait a minute, this report was supposed to be for the American people on what happened, and you blacked all these pages out? What in the world? I do not think that it was a bunch of poorly trained or untrained terrorists that did it. I think there was another source behind it. I think it was intentional. And I'm going just from a criminal investigative perspective, just looking at the evidence, what evidence we have, that was an intentional act. And it would fall right into the MO that you and I are talking about. Horrible event, because human life does not matter to the shadow government deep state, or especially the CIA. It does not matter. They're pawns on their chessboard. They don't care that 3,000 people were horribly killed that day, but it achieved the aim of gutting the U.S. Constitution, bringing in the horrific Patriot Act, giving the CIA unthinkable authority for secret prisons and torture beyond waterboarding and secret renditions and all of that. The FBI, the ability to spy on Americans came out of the Patriot Act. So it was the perfect national security state energizer that the Patriot Act was. And 70 of the congressmen and senators that read the Patriot Act didn't even read it. They just signed off on it without even reading the bill. So yeah, I mean, that's my view. And it's
my view as well.
Just factually.
The economy has been a major burden on the average American. Wages are flat, expenses are up, and it is very hard to manage to pay all the bills without using credit cards. If you're a homeowner and you're frustrated with that cycle, and you, like I said, it just follows that same MO every single time, horrific event, and then yelling at everybody, don't even ask any questions of what we do next. If you do, you're a terrorist sympathizer. You know, like all you care about is defending the terrorists in the Middle East. You don't care about your safety. And I think there was just one lone congressman who said we absolutely should not be signing the Patriot Act. And you know, the media came down on him very hard. How could you have this perspective? 3,000 Americans have been killed. Again, that emotional conditioning to make us not even think about actually the probability that it's just an evil government that is willing to kill people to further its imperialistic aims, whatever that may be, whether it's they want oil, whether they want more land. And so I'm hopeful that people wake up to this, because now that I am very aware of this pattern, now that I have confronted the evil of our government, I am deeply fearful, as you said, for Kennedy and Trump, and recognizing that if you're talking about coming up against the deep state is quite the enemy to come up against, because they have killed presidents, in my view, and they will kill as many Americans as it takes to retain their power. And I think we have the right team to do it. I think even having it be Kennedy, with the history of the Kennedys, and Trump and his ability to just keep going. Like,
it's remarkable.
It is remarkable that we really do have this chance, and at the same time, people waking up to what the mainstream media is. So Operation Mockingbird is failing. Which for the first time, it doesn't work anymore. So they can keep that operation going. It's good for business for me.
That's right. It is. So, I mean, it's so encouraging.
It is. It's very encouraging. And so now you can hear them starting to have the conversation of, we got to get a handle on these podcasters with their misinformation. And
go ahead, make our day.
Make our day, because the people are awake. Okay. Give everybody the name of your book and where exactly they can find it, guys. This is a must read. You absolutely must read this book.
It's called Twilight of the Shadow Government, How Transparency Will Kill the Deep State. I wrote it at some risk because the CIA blacked out redacted information in my last book, From the Company Shadows, that was unclassified, violation of Executive Order 12356. It's a felony. And so I knew that in this book, they were going to either redact the majority of the revelations that we write about, or sit on it for a couple of years. So I gave it to the CIA and let them have it for 3 months. There's an old law that said they have to get it back to you in 30 days. They'd never abide by that, based on constitutional freedom of speech, but they never abide by that. So I let them sit on it for 3 months, and after 3 months, Kent Heckenlively, my courageous co-writer, we said, all right, they asked me for approval. Can you send it to the publisher? And I said, do it. So we sent it to Skyhorse and published it before the CIA approved it. And it's the only way I could get this out. I took some personal risk, which I'm glad to do, because it's so important. We don't know what the CIA is going to do, whether they're going to try to take my royalties from the book, which they usually try to do. I mean, I've already been threatened, poisoned, broken into. It's like, whatever, you know, but someone had to take the risk to do that finally, to expose what the CIA is.
Where can people go to support you?
It's weird, right? You're working for the CIA and you are getting, how to say, arrested or, you know, some other things by them. Yeah. Well,
aside from buying the book, like, is there anywhere people can go to support you in general? Because I just think that when you see someone like this, who's actually it's funny that you say Skyhorse published it, because when my producer first said, do you want to get this guy on, I instantly went, okay, is this going to be a limited hangout? Limited hangout. When, like, you know what I'm talking about? The CIA allows people in the CIA to come out and pretend. And then when I saw that Skyhorse was publishing, I said, oh no, this means that they, like, the publishers will not publish his book, and he has to go to a more independent type of publisher, because I'm dealing with that same thing. I'm not allowed to publish my book anywhere. Even though I had a New York Times top-selling first book, they basically go, oh no, this girl can't be published anymore. So when I saw that, I said, no, this guy's the real deal. They're obviously closing doors on him intentionally.
And I violated my NDA. No CIA officer have done that.
We got to support you, and we got to make sure people know your name, know what you're doing, and so anything shady happens to this guy, we all know who did it. But where can people just go to support you in general?
Well, there's my YouTube channel, Kevin Ship 1, and most of my videos there are free. I'm on Twitter now, X. It's at Kevin_Ship, and I post things about this regularly. Or they can find me through Skyhorse. And the book Twilight of the Shadow Government is a mission for me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep my royalties. I have some.
If not, please start not a GoFundMe. Give, Send, Go.
Yeah.
And with a Christian company, Give, Send, Go, and we will support you, because I'm like, you know, we are, and it's just funny that you're Christian, because I have just felt this is the Christ is King year, and Christ is truth, the way. You must just follow the truth and be willing to face the consequences. I have done that this year, and it's just funny to hear your background story. Oh, my life got saved because people were praying over me. I left the CIA because a woman randomly said, do you know about Jesus Christ? And here you are, and you realize why you were saved when you were young, why you were chosen to go through CIA. You weren't chosen by the CIA. I believe you're chosen by the Lord to do that. And because he wanted you to see it up front so that you could have, you know, you would be able to speak to the public about what we are actually confronting. And you have survived the poison. Even you've got like a lot of lives going on here. The cat.
Yeah.
And so in every capacity that we can support people like this, you guys, I am like, we've got to do it. This is what the people that are just trying to tell the truth. So if you do start a Give, Send, Go, if they try to take your royalties, please email us. We will be the first people to be like, and that's what I've done. I'm knocked off of YouTube. I can't make any money on YouTube. And so we turn to locals, and people, $1 a month, $2 a month. The people are doing this. We exist because of the people.
That's the way to do it.
It's the best way. I don't care about the publishers. I don't care about any of that stuff, because
it's the only way to do it.
We are creating a network of people that know that Christ is king and that the truth wins in the end. And we just have to keep going.
My wife Sue has set up a GoFundMe page, so we'll see what happens.
Go to Give, Send, Go, please.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, tell her to go to Give, Send, Go, and if you send it to us, we will tell people to support you guys, and they will. Trust me, my audience, they're hardcore.
Awesome.
They don't care what the media says. They actually like it. Like I said, when media calls you a conspiracy theorist,
that's awesome.
they're like, we can trust them.
They probably will come after my royalties. I know that in advance. Whether they're going to try to say there's something classified in this book, let's get them for that. Well, I was a classifying authority. I know what's classified and what's not. They can try to make that accusation. I don't think they will, because there is the possibility that they don't want publicity for this book, because no CIA officer has ever done this before, and it does not make them look good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to include the link to his book below. We're going to hope and pray.
Well, this stuff is definitely not in my cup of tea. I'm more like this guy. I'm just a guy who loves training, love movies, and that's it.
Hey, athletes, they got macrocycle, mesocycle, microcycle, a cycle, whatever cycle you want to call it. You got your still going.
Well, I'm not like this guy, but I'm also, I also train very hard.
Oh, Brian. A lot of people are telling me,
I'm just a
Brian,
normal guy. I don't want trouble.
Squat, bench, and deadlift. Be training stack, training, whatever addition. Was that functional training? Step back. Let's go. Stretch the muscles. See, this is a gym. You must train. I see you guys sitting on the machines texting all day, texting, your girlfriend. Where's your mind in martial arts? Mind, body, and spirit. Check this out. I got the mind. I also got the fresh haircut. I got the body, see? I also got the spirit. Where's your spirit? Where's your mind and body, huh? Martial arts. Oh. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my arm. Hey, check. Whatsoever.
So basically, just let me do the. I love acting, so like that. It's not my cup of tea to to do CIA and writing do all that kind of things. That's not what I want.
I will pivot. My fork is myself.
Deze man is een barken,
Als je in 13 jaar tijd bijna 3 miljoen mensen naar je land laat komen, met een netto migratiesaldo van bijna 1 miljoen, dan haal je al die problemen op je hals. En mijn vraag was, waarom zouden we de VVD nu wel geloven? Want de afgelopen 13 jaar immigratierecord na immigratierecord gebroken. De VVD heeft het Marrakesh-immigratiepact ondertekend. Er is helemaal geen enkele reden geweest waarom de VVD de afgelopen 7, 8 jaar zoveel immigratie heeft toegelaten. Anders dan dat de VVD dat kennelijk goed beleid vond. Dat de VVD dat kennelijk wilde. Waarom zouden wij de VVD nu wel geloven dat men toch nu echt iets wil doen aan de immigratie, terwijl men dat jarenlang kon doen, maar het niet deed?
Yeah, I follow politics. It's cool. CIA, that's a different story. Different story.
You don't have time to train. You don't have a place to.
Or the Dutch army, or the Netherlands army, Europe army, NATO. I love to. Yeah, I'm more like this guy.
You make time. You make time. You make it happen. I'm gonna take a nap right here.
Right in the middle of Target, right, Kenny?
Thanks, man.
No excuses,
No
man.
excuses, right?
Yes,
That's the way to go. True martial arts. Thank you. Thank you. See that? Those people who have just that small comment there of motivation that tell me like no excuses. See, that further pushes me as a martial artist, and it should push you too. But it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. You can make excuses. I mean, I like. Oh, Kenny here, getting it in. Right. Getting it. Oh, you need some help here? I'll come over and help. Yeah, that's right. Stretching. More. Some more?
Man. Yeah, well, thank you, Candace Owens. But that's not. Yeah, it is interesting. Know it, but yeah, that's interesting. I like movies. Let's play this mode. Beautiful. You can switch graphics with this game. Nintendo 64 and 360. Should have said that. This is a cool game. Look, that's his head. It's cool that they made an object. It is a relaxed game, I like that. Not a Fire Emblem, no. And shooting. The graphics look good, right? This game's so dumb sometimes. Thank you. Thank you. Where am I now? Shoot! That was the first mission, but it isn't difficult or anything, but I forgot. Game sometimes work. It's very good. This pixelated game. Pixel. Damn, I wish the chat was more engaging, but you know, still something. I do respect the platform of Kick, Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube. You should respect the platform, even though we're all different. Best way, we need to work together. Really, we need to work together. Look, it's a civilian. Ah! Oops. Oops, my bad. This is such a cool game. Hi, Dub. It's such a pleasure to. Ooh. Thinking of a friend of mine. Sup, 006. Oh, goddamn, no! Destroy all things in the bowling room. But I did. Well... Damn it. Just well. Just enemies who shooting by with no tactics. This is definitely goal now. Sneaky. Fate. Fate. This game's cool, man. I'm really into guns, by the way. I don't know. Like, thing is, I cannot read. What is that? Wasted 30 bullets in him. Well,
You waited for
Michael Chandler is the best motivational speaker on planet Earth.
that fell
guy.
through. He's out there, doing his thing.
We had a contract all the way up until 2 weeks before the fight.
That's good. And then
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why it fell through.
His broken pinky toe, which once again lends itself to the haters that he's never coming back. This time off really made me take a different perspective and thought, man, Michael, you are so disciplined in the gym. You are so disciplined in the kitchen. Discipline is your superpower. Yet that cage door closes and your discipline is nowhere to be found, right?
Out the window.
So yeah, it's like,
We've taken on Charles Oliveira. Walk me through this next opportunity you get to fight Charles.
just be a veteran, man. Be a disciplined veteran. I'm 38. I can't be fighting like I'm 22, like a bat out of hell with no skill. You know, hopefully I don't eat my words, but the plan is to go out there and fight like a veteran, to go out there and give him a hand raise.
Oh, it's 15-time world champion Demetrius Johnson. You're listening to the Mighty Cast.
What's going on, guys? This podcast is sponsored by Prize Picks. Now, Prize Picks is a daily fantasy sports game where you can play directly from your phone. All you gotta do is go to your app store and download Prize Picks. And when you do that, make sure you use my promo code MightyCast. They have a cool promotion going on right now. All you gotta do is play $5 and you're gonna win $50 no matter what happens in an NFL game, NBA game, or even in a mixed martial arts fight. Now, make sure you get your picks in. UFC 309 is this Saturday. So get your picks in at the right place, which is Prize Picks. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring this Mighty Cast. Now let's get back to our guest, Michael Chandler. Enjoy. All right, here we go. All right. Is there anything you don't want to talk about, Chandler? You pretty much an open book?
I'm good. Open book.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Mighty Cast. And we have the one and only, the most exciting athlete, fighter in the world to ever grace the cage, octagon, the Bellator cage, you name it, Michael Chandler. What's going on, Chandler? Welcome to the show.
Sub legend, dude. It's good to be with you, man. I'm excited to go out there and compete again. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, first off, your skin looks absolutely amazing. You're probably the only other guest that I've had. I'm sitting there, I was like, this, you've been in some wars. I'll never forget you in the war, and you're home with your, back home with your wife and kids. You had the ice pack on your face, and you're
mask,
like, you're like, son, I made a decision that it go my way, but don't you worry, I'll be fine. I'll see you at the top. And I can see the skin. You heal damn well. You heal very well. You got a skincare routine you do?
I don't actually. My wife is who's in the aesthetic industry, actually talks to me every day about how I need to be putting lotion on my skin and do all this stuff. Number one, we get drug tested, so like all of the stuff that she uses has like growth factors and all kinds of like probably illegal stuff in it that could end up in your bloodstream. So I don't touch any of her stuff. If I ever even use lotion, it's just some like CeraVe, whatever, regular stuff. But no, I don't really even use lotion, man. And yeah, my face has been turned inside out a couple times. There is one thing that she does at her clinic called it's like a vampire facial, was what it's like. It's on the street, but it's called microneedling, where they hit you with like 1,000 of those little needles, pull out your PRP, and then inject PRP into your face. So, obviously where we get these scars, where you can break open again. So that's the one thing that I've done that I really think has made me not look like too much of a caveman.
See, my wife, she's got her microneedling done, and I get the diamond glow. It's basically they go with a little small blade, and they just basically take all like the blackheads and the whiteheads off, scrape all that stuff off, and I'm like, hey, you ain't gonna charge me full price, okay? Because I got half the face. All I got is this right here. You ain't getting none of this. And so she was like, maybe they could do your bald head, and I was like, no, they don't need to touch that. Just do this part right here. But your skin looks great, man. Like I said, I noticed. Nice. I was like, God, his skin looks fucking good. I was like, good for Chandler. Good for Chandler. Okay,
yeah,
like you said,
I've been lucky.
Yeah, like you said, you've been in some wars. You know, I think the very first time I ever noticed you fight was when you were battling against Eddie Alvarez. Like those 2 fights, you guys fought 2. No, well, in Bellator, you guys fought 2 times. You guys fought once in UFC, correct? And the discipline you had, you knew it was going to make it easy. And that's one of the things that I saw too that I felt made me successful in my career is that even after I got done fighting, I didn't blow back up. I didn't get fat. I didn't get out of shape. I've always had my fucking conditioning. Like I never just like, oh, not fighting. I'm going to just get fat now, just be out of shape and da-da-da-da, because it's a lifestyle. And I felt like you've lived that lifestyle your whole entire life. Like I've never seen you without your fucking core, like your Ninja Turtle abs. Never.
Yeah,
not
dude.
once.
You know, well, and that's, I mean, and shouldn't that be the way it is, man? You're a professional athlete.
I need to shoot this micro. Where is it? I think it's this. But that's what's this. Isn't it just better if the world was just, I don't know, maybe a sports politics like this?
Oké. Nee. Nee. Ja.
I like this song. This is cool. You know what's a cool movie, guys? It's this. I want to show you more like the Hong Kong style action. So I truly believe that we all need to work together. You know, with all those politics and etc. You also have politics in movie making, but it's still a creative vision. You know? One of my favorite movies all time does not make sense. Come on. How can you not love Hardboiled? One of the best action movies of all time. So good. It's just this. Yeah, man. I really want to educate you guys on Hong Kong choreography. So it's so beautiful. What is the most best fight scene of all time? I don't know. I don't know. I really like at this Yun Dragons Forever. This is one of my favorites. Let me remind you guys. If you watch a Hong Kong movie from the 80s, watch it for the action, okay? Don't do it for the story. They're not known for the story. They're just known for their, let's just say, just action. So cool. You saw that? Look at this. Stop that. My Chinese is not. I think this is real metal. Yeah, those guys from Hong Kong, Yun Bao is his name. Amazing acrobat. I think this is real metal. I can do a front flip. But this is real metal. Yeah. Sick, man. Pretty sick. Yeah, he's amazing. Really. Such an amazing acrobat. I think that is Chin Carlock. Yeah, it's a totally different. Pretty sure he was the main stunt guy for Yun Bao and Jackie Chan. Oh look, I think he is the best stunt guy of all time. He did some crazy things, man. Stunts. That guy, look at his rhythm. Sorry, I'm sorry. It's amazing. You guys again? Oh. This is good. The movie is called Fist of Legend. I think this is my favorite movie. One of my top 5 favorite Hong Kong. There's a fight scene. It's so good. So incredible. Woo! do you guys watch a lot of how do you say, red pill content or something like this? Wait, like whatever podcast. I think what they're doing is good, but yeah, it's good. Thing is, I know a lot about this stuff. I'm more like Islam guy. I know a lot of women are brainwashed by social media, by their environment. I think they are on or something. Thing is, we'll see a pattern, but we still. I'm just gonna be honest. We it's a lot of good. I think she is the mother of Jin Kaz. Really lovely. Or Chi-Chi? Think she's also good?
Me.
And like all good comic book films, it ended with a sky battle. Goku, wasn't it great?
I fell asleep halfway through. I guess it's more fun to be in a real fight than watch a fake one.
This was your son's moment to shine. How can you be a supportive father if you don't watch?
Sit still.
That's a she's a good she's a good martial arts artist woman. Good traditional. Cannot hate her, man. She's
絶対夫婦喧嘩だべ。ピッコロさんは？デンデさんとこに用事に行ってる。そっか。だから兄ちゃん相手してあげてよ。そういうわけにはだったら5点が。というわけにはいか。
Well, guys, that's it. I will see you guys next time. There's the ending that I can think of. It's cool. Bye, brothers. Miss you guys. Stay strong.